ESPN NFL analyst Ryan Clark ripped the New York Jets and ripped Aaron Rodgers on Get Up. Let's react to Clark's comments, and I'll give you my thoughts on why he's completely wrong in today's Jake Asman show. Let's hit it and get it started. The Jets face one of their biggest offseasons in franchise history. It's playoffs or bust in 2023.
You're writing the story of your own life. Never allow another man to hold the pen.
Please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button down below. Super Chat, baby. Cut the line. The pieces are in place. It's time for the Jets to put it together. Now, let's talk about the New York Jets. This is the Jake Asman Show. Here we go on a Tuesday. Welcome in. A lot to talk about as we cover everything with the New York Jets here on the channel. Do me a favor, like this video. It is free, it is easy, and it helps the channel continue to grow. A lot to get to here. We're going to talk about Ryan Clark's comments on Get Up yesterday. He ripped the Jets. He ripped Aaron Rodgers. He ripped the idea of the Jets going after Aaron Rodgers. I'm sensing a lot of jealousy here in Ryan Clark's voice. So let's first play the comments, and then I'll give you my thoughts on why I vehemently disagree with what Ryan Clark had to say.
Nathaniel Hackett is actually terrible at coaching. He's terrible at managing an offense. He's terrible at decision making. But now let's bring him to the Jets, because is it about any quarterbacks that he's connected to? And then Robert Saleh, well, everybody in this league's connected. At least lie better. You know why you went out and got him. You didn't go get him because he just performed this phenomenal deed in Denver. He actually showed you that he can't command a locker room. He can't hold it in all he can't hold it all together himself. And now we're going to ask that guy to be the offensive coordinator in New York, which is the worst place to be anything and not be good at it, just because he might get Aaron Rodgers, understanding what it's going to take to get Aaron Rodgers to be the quarterback of your team, and watching Aaron Rodgers play last year without Devontae Adams and thinking that that's going to be the guy that's going to come be the savior of this team that hasn't been to the Super Bowl and I don't know how dang long. We're doing too much, Greeny. You're hoping too much. So as your friend, see, sometimes you got to have people around you that are not yes men, Greeny. And I know you very successful, super rich types have people around you that are going to say yes to you because you play for every meal. Well, I can pay for my own dang meal, Greeny. So I'm going to tell you, y'all don't want Aaron Rodgers. Y'all don't need Aaron Rodgers. And if you went got Nathaniel Hackett so you could get Aaron Rodgers, that's a stupid hire. This is not the way to go. Go get the best quarterback you can possibly get for your team, and you want him to have the best offensive coordinator. So if you're doing all of this for a quarterback that in his great career, who is absolutely phenomenal, has won one Super Bowl, been to one Super Bowl, then you're doing it the wrong way. So I'm going to let you down now before the season gets here, and I got to see you sad every Monday morning.
Where do we start, which is the asinine buffoonery there from Ryan Clark? I mean, let's start with what he said about Nathaniel Hackett for starters. One, bringing up Nathaniel Hackett's time in Denver. Oh, he's not a leader of men. Guess what? He's not the head coach of the New York Jets, Ryan Clark. Let's conveniently leave out the fact that this guy engineered a top 10 offense with Blake Bortles as his quarterback. Let's conveniently leave out the fact that the last time Nathaniel Hackett was an offensive coordinator, his quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, was the back-to-back league MVP. Let's leave that part out, though. Look, I'm no Nathaniel Hackett fan. He was a horrible head coach. It's a different job, though, when you're an offensive coordinator. It's a different job. Adam Gase sucked as a head coach. He got a lot of credit for being a good OC. Todd Bowles sucked as a head coach. Hell of a DC. Norv Turner sucked as a head coach. Hell of an OC. I mean, I could keep going. Josh McDaniels sucks as a head coach. Great OC. Ryan Clark leaving that part out is so unfair, and I'm not even the biggest Nathaniel Hackett fan, but to not even acknowledge the guy has a track record of calling plays successfully or being a successful OC and only bringing up the failed Denver experiment is very unfair. And then let's get to what he says there about how the Jets don't want Rodgers. They don't need Rodgers. Saying they should not bring in Rodgers because he's only won one Super Bowl in his Hall of Fame career is an absurd critique. The only available quarterback that has multiple Super Bowl rings this offseason is Tom Brady. Tom Brady has ruined the minds of analysts. What Brady has done in his career will never be replicated. No one's ever winning that much again. Ever. I mean, what quarterbacks in the NFL today have more than one ring that are currently playing? It's just Brady. Mahomes doesn't have more than one ring. Jalen Hurts doesn't have more than one ring. He doesn't even have a ring. Name me the quarterback. Burrow, no rings. Herbert, no rings. Lamar, no rings. Carr, no rings. Name me the quarterback then, Ryan Clark. That's the other thing. He says the Jets don't need Aaron Rodgers. Okay, then who are they bringing in? Oh, go get an offensive coordinator and the best quarterback possible. Isn't it possible that the best OC and best quarterback available is Nathaniel Hackett with Aaron Rodgers? That's not brought up, though, by Ryan Clark. It's convenient how he talks about how the Jets don't need Aaron Rodgers, who is by far and away the best available quarterback they could get if he's truly available. But then he doesn't actually name another quarterback. So, Ryan Clark, what should the Jets do? You're running the Jets. What's the move, buddy? Who's the guy they're bringing in? Are they acquiring Joe Burrow in a trade and no one told me? If that's the case, then you're right, Ryan Clark. I'm in. I mean, how laughable is that take by Ryan Clark? They shouldn't go after Aaron Rodgers because he only has one Super Bowl in his career, which, by the way, the jealousy I'm sensing from Ryan Clark is because Aaron Rodgers torched him in that Super Bowl. Go watch the highlights. Ryan Clark's Steelers got beat by Aaron Rodgers' Packers, and Ryan Clark is bitter about it. I mean, why else would he rip Aaron Rodgers? The critique, he's only won one Super Bowl, is insane. You're talking to a Jet fan base that most of us have never seen this team win before. The Jets have one Super Bowl in their history, and it's 55 years ago almost. Only one Super Bowl is a ridiculous critique of Rodgers' career. Then the only available quarterback you can want is Brady. I love how he says, you don't need Rodgers, and then he doesn't provide a better alternative. Sure, this franchise hasn't had a 4,000-yard passer since Joe Namath. They haven't had a quarterback throw for more than 10 touchdowns in 3 seasons. Haven't had a quarterback throw for more than 20 touchdowns in 7 seasons. But yeah, they don't need a 4-time MVP, who in his quote-unquote down year still was 7th in touchdown passes this season, playing with a broken thumb on his throwing hand and rookie receivers all over the field. But yeah, the Jets don't need Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Clark didn't even name any alternatives, but Aaron Rodgers has as many Super Bowl wins as Derek Carr and Lamar Jackson have playoff wins combined. I mean, people don't want to see the Jets be successful. That's what this is. I'm sorry. This is an anti-Jet bias by Ryan Clark. He can't deal with the fact the Jets are actually on the precipice of being properly run, maybe getting a 4-time MVP at quarterback. That or he's just bitter that Rodgers torched him in the Super Bowl. I don't know. But to say that the Jets don't want or don't need Aaron Rodgers, and then to rip Rodgers' resume because he only has one Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? I'd sign for one Super Bowl in 18 years. I've been a Jet fan longer than 18 years. I've never seen a Super Bowl. I'd sign for that. I mean, we're not just moving the goalposts for the Jets. They shouldn't go after Aaron Rodgers because he only has one Super Bowl. What? Then what's the plan then, Ryan? Mike White and Zach Wilson quarterback battle? Baker Mayfield, how many Super Bowls does he have? The only quarterback that has more than one Super Bowl that's available is Tom Brady, and he's going to be 46 years old this year. Would I take him? Yes. Not over Aaron Rodgers, though. Let's not be stupid. This was stupidity yesterday. I'm sorry. And Ryan Clark seems like a nice guy, but this is a clear, I don't like Aaron Rodgers, so I'm going to rip him on national television. And then Boy Green, who was kind enough to put together that clip on his Twitter account, he tweeted this out yesterday. And you know what Ryan Clark did? He blocked him because Ryan Clark was having people challenge his opinion on this. So rather than actually address it head on or maybe acknowledge, this wasn't a great take because it's not like I provided an alternative to Aaron Rodgers. What does he do? He blocks Boy Green on Twitter. Soft as Charmin is that type of move right there. I mean, come on, man. You're a big boy. You're on a national TV show. You give a sports opinion. You can't block the guy who put it out there. Give me the alternative, though. You don't want Aaron Rodgers. Okay, then what should the Jets do? He didn't say. He just says they don't want or they don't need Aaron Rodgers. And then says Nathaniel Hackett only got hired for Rodgers, which is not true. Only brings up his Denver resume. Doesn't even mention anything that happened in Green Bay, anything that happened in Jacksonville, anything that happened in Buffalo. What's the alternative, Brian? I'm willing to listen if you provide a sensible take. He didn't, though. He basically just tried to make Mike Greenberg look like an a-hole for wanting a Hall of Fame quarterback, which is asinine. Any Jet fan who doesn't want Aaron Rodgers, I question what your thought process is. But it's one thing to say you don't want Rodgers because you want insert quarterback. He didn't even give a name. Weak. That was weak. That was big. I'm sure Ryan Clark will block me on Twitter because I have the audacity to criticize him here. But, I mean, my God. It's unreal. Some people just want the Jets to stink no matter what. I mean, this is stupid. By the way, Ryan Clark, you have the same number of Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers. And once again, using Super Bowls as a quarterback stat is a little unfair. Brady has corrupted the minds of people. As great as Peyton Manning was, he won 2 rings. Dan Marino never won. I guess the Jets shouldn't go after Dan Marino if he were available in his prime. You know how stupid that is? As great as Joe Burrow is, no championships. Josh Allen, no championships. Most quarterbacks in the NFL don't have titles. Why? Because it's really hard to do. It is really hard to do. But to rip the Jets and then not provide an alternative is weak. Oh, Greeny, I'm gonna tell you, what you need to hear because you got yes men around you. You don't want Rodgers. Rodgers, he hurt my feelings when he torched me in the Super Bowl a decade ago. So I'm gonna come on TV and I'm gonna criticize his whole career. Stop it. Silly. I mean, there are bad takes, and then there's that. That's weak from Ryan Clark. He should be better than that. He is better than that. That was just bad. One thing to say, hey, the Jets shouldn't go after Aaron Rodgers because they're better off with Derek Carr or Lamar Jackson. Then say that. But he provided no alternatives. And let's be real, they're not better with those guys over Aaron Rodgers. They're not. All right? Derek Carr and Lamar Jackson combined have 1 playoff win in their career. Aaron Rodgers has 1 Super Bowl. So Aaron Rodgers has more Super Bowls than Lamar and Derek Carr do in playoff wins combined. I mean, and I'm not going to make, win-loss as a quarterback stat, but he apparently did by bringing up Rodgers' career, saying he only has 1 Super Bowl. Only 1. You know what I would do to have 1 Super Bowl over an 18-year span as a Jet fan? Oh, my God. Where do I sign for that? Week. Let's open it up to your comments and questions, your thoughts on the asinine opinion, in my opinion, of what Ryan Clark said yesterday on ESPN. BUSR is my official sports book. You can bet on the Super Bowl. All the live odds are up already. I mean, this line is moving back and forth. Kansas City, Philadelphia, but the prop bets are up. Leading up to the game, we'll give out some prop bets every day here on BUSR. Plus, between now and February 6th, if you plan to bet on the Super Bowl, and it's the most bet on sporting event of the year, you're going to want to sign up with BUSR because one lucky winner for signing up using my link you see on the screen or in the description for this video will win a $1,000 free bet. All you need to do is sign up using the link I'm providing on the screen there and make the minimum deposit of $100 within 24 hours of opening your account, and boom, you're automatically entered to win. The giveaway closes on February 6th. So if you're going to bet the Super Bowl, might as well sign up with BUSR right now. And one lucky winner is going to get $1,000 in their account to bet on over at BUSR. So shout out to BUSR. Any sport, you name it, they have it. Check it out, BUSR.com/Asman to sign up and start betting today. Let's open it up now to your comments and questions. And let's see what you guys are thinking. We'll take some calls as well. I'll post the Gusbuster hotline link in the comments section right now as well. Join the show if you want to be a part of the conversation. Buff Android writes in. It hurts that he's making this takes and is so confident with it. He made some great takes on the Jets this year. Yeah, it's just a stupid take. It's one thing to say you don't want the Jets to get Aaron Rodgers because they should do this, but let me say that they shouldn't get Rodgers because he's only won one Super Bowl in 18 years and then not provide an alternative. It makes no sense. Carmine writes in, he just wanted to make a crazy take because no more NFL season, so they need to spice things up. I think he went back on this next day. But clearly he's wrong. Anyone comparing what he did in Denver as a head coach is just wasting their time. It's completely different. Yeah, anything Hackett did in Denver is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's a different job. Honestly, his Hackett criticism is more unfair than what he said about Rodgers. But to insinuate that Nathaniel Hackett only got the job because he's friends with Rodgers and it has nothing to do with the fact that not only does he have a good relationship with Rodgers, but Rodgers had two of the best years of his career with him and not even mention that is BS. Tyler writes in, I don't get the Ryan Clark take. What other options do the Jets have? Carr, he doesn't make us a Super Bowl contender. There are very few quarterbacks in this league that give you a legitimate chance to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, it's a problem. Also, no mention of the fact the Jets play in the AFC, and to win in the AFC, you need a quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers. Jeremy says, why are we jumping from the Carr bandwagon? I don't think it's a matter of jumping from the bandwagon. It's that Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback and he's available. So I will take Derek Carr if I can't get Rodgers. But to me, Aaron Rodgers is significantly better than Derek Carr. Some of you Jet fans need to reevaluate Derek Carr's career compared to Aaron Rodgers' career. It's not even close. And I like Derek Carr. I would take Derek Carr. But it's asinine to think that they're even comparable. They're not. Derek Carr's a nice quarterback. Is he ever going on the road and winning a road playoff game for the Jets? At Buffalo? At Arrowhead? In Cincinnati next year? I don't see it, personally. Maybe you could win a wild card game. Aaron Rodgers, you can win the whole thing. That's the difference. Ricky writes in, someone needs to tell Ryan Clark both Eli and Big Ben retired. Brady's the only multiple Super Bowl winner left. Yeah, what an asinine take. You can't go after Rodgers because he only has one Super Bowl in his career. So let's go after who then? Sean writes in, Aaron Rodgers' worst statistical year this year was better than Carr's. Aaron Rodgers has more talent in his pinky than Derek Carr has in his body. And I don't want this to be about ripping Derek Carr because I like Derek Carr. But some of you Jet fans need to realize we're talking about a significant talent disparity when you compare Rodgers to Carr. And the people that want Carr bring up his age. What if he's on the decline right now? I don't think he is, but I'll take 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers over soon-to-be 33-year-old Derek Carr coming off the seasons they just had. Rodgers had better numbers this year with a broken thumb on his throwing hand. Like, come on, man. And worse weapons. Scotty Jetpack says, Rodgers will come to the Jets and play the best football of his life. God, I hope so. Bonesy says that apparently Clark retracted what he said when Rex Ryan was on the set. I didn't see that, but, I mean, he should retract it. Or at least provide a sensible solution. Lewis says, regardless of who we get, I'm just happy that we finally have choices. Yeah, look, you don't have a ton of choices, though, Luis. Let's be real. Like, Rodgers is by far and away the best choice that's seemingly available. Matthew Duran writes in, Rodgers shouldn't be a Jet because he doesn't look good in that color green. At least if he had that take, Matthew, he'd give you a reason. Besides, oh, well, he's only won one Super Bowl in his career. Only one. How many does Burrow have? How many does Allen have? How many does Herbert have? It ain't easy winning a Super Bowl. Tom Brady has corrupted the minds of sports analysts. That's why the rings argument's kind of lazy when it comes to football. We'll never see anything like what Brady did again. Ever. As great as Mahomes is, he's not winning 7. Super chat from the New York Bully. We'll get to your calls coming up here as well. Ryan A. Smith was wrong. Ryan A. Smith. Hackett designed the red zone offense while he was in Green Bay, and with Rodgers, they had the best red zone scoring in the NFL. That's an area the Jets will now be better in. I mean, honestly, his critique of Hackett was worse than Rodgers, to be fair. I'm no Nathaniel Hackett truth there, but to bring up Denver and say, oh, he's not a leader of men. He's the offensive coordinator with the Jets. He's not the head coach. And to not mention the fact that Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs under him as the OC is also unfair. And to also not bring up the fact that he had a top 10 offense in Jacksonville with Blake Bortles as a quarterback is also unfair. I mean, please. James Alba with a super chat. He writes in, I know Greeny is rich thing is a common joke on that show, but Clark bringing up the yes men that I agree Aaron Rodgers is the move and then he could afford his own meals was a weird way to defend the point. Just say you don't like Aaron Rodgers because he beat your ass in the Super Bowl. At least I'd respect that. I'd be like, all right, at least he's honest about it. But to use that, well, he's only won one ring in his career. Other than Brady, who in the NFL has more than one Super Bowl right now? The answer is nobody. Jags Jag writes in. Why do we have a Jaguar fan? Get out of here, Jags Jag. You Jets fans are isolating yourself to think Rodgers are nothing. And if Rodgers don't leave, then you guys are screwed. Actually, no, we're not. We're thinking to ourselves, if Rodgers is available, get him. If they can't get him, then get Derek Carr or trade for Lamar Jackson. Rodgers is plan A until we find out what his status is. So, no, I think your clue is Jags Jag. So, please do us all a favor and leave and don't come back. We'll see you later. Let's go to Greg. He's first up today on the show. Greg, what's going on? You're on the Jake Asman Show on the Gusbuster Hotline.
Greg, what's happening?
What's up, Greg?
Most exciting time for a Jet fan, the offseason.
This is our time, baby.
I think when you look down the list, I think like Rodgers, number one. You know, if we could get Rodgers, you snag him. You know, a first. That's the thing. It might come down to draft day. If someone's on the board with the 13th pick that they like, maybe they pull the trigger with Rodgers and they just wait it out. You know, I
think this is done well before draft day, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think after, though. I think after draft day, that's the deadline, kind of, because they're going to want a 2024 first-round pick. And if we do go places with Rodgers, that's basically like a second-round pick. And then we got Carr, when he wouldn't have to give up any draft capital, and still a good quarterback. And damn it, he just might need a change of scenery because he's been given worse than Sam Darnold treatment for 6 years on the Raiders. And then I think after that, Brady, I do think he's going to San Francisco with this Purdy injury. I just think they could maybe think if we insert Brady and have all these backups, we're going to win the Super Bowl. Brady doesn't get hurt. It doesn't matter if he's 60 years old. The fucking guy, he's made of fucking avocados and stuff. I don't know. He doesn't get hurt. And then you got, I think I wouldn't mind like a Jimmy G and a Mike White. Don't forget, Mike White did some really good things for us. You know, if you pair him with Jimmy G, I mean, both very fragile quarterbacks, but still, I think it gives us a shot. And I wouldn't rule out drafting the guy like Hendon Hooker, maybe in the third, fourth round. We have some. If we don't trade for Rodgers, we're going to have flexibility. Maybe like a Jalen Hurts situation. We draft a mature guy that could read defenses and stuff, and we just sit on him for a little bit. Listen, if it's a third-round pick, how many third-round picks? You know what I mean? If it's like a Denzel Mims type of deal. He was in the second, I believe. You know, take a shot. You know, low risk, high reward, high upside. You know.
Yeah, good call. I agree with you. Look, if you can't get Rodgers, obviously you ship them plans. I personally don't want Jimmy G, but the one thing you brought up, if you have Garoppolo as your quarterback, you need a really good backup because Jimmy G's going to miss time at some point. Hopefully, it's not season ending like what happened with the broken foot, but he's gonna miss time. So you have to bring a guy like Mike White back. But your ceiling is so limited, that's all you could do. So I'd be okay, you know, with Garoppolo if Mike White's back if the other options don't come to fruition. And by other options, I'm talking Rodgers and Lamar, really. I would choose Carr over Jimmy G. Hold on, there's a Cowboys fan in here. Cowboys fan, Jets suck. As bad as the Jets have been, Cowboys fan, at least I have seen my team in the championship game 3 times since the Cowboys last made it. I mean, you want to talk about being irrelevant, right? For as much attention as the Cowboys get, think about your own division. The Giants have won 2 Super Bowls from the last time you guys made a conference title game. The Eagles are on the precipice of winning their second. They've been to the Super Bowl 3 times. Even though Redskins, now the commies, have had more success in recent years than the Cowboys have. So a Cowboys fan trash-talking a Jet fan is rich. Let's go to Alan. He's up next on the show. What's up, Alan?
Hey, Jake. What's going on?
A big move by the Islanders, baby. Lou Lamoriello, give him an extension. 10 more years.
Okay, before I rip on Lou on that one.
How do you not like that trade, though? Like, what's the downside, assuming they re-sign him? As long as they re-sign him, I don't mind it at all.
Let me give you my take on the trade. First of all, the only positive is I love the player, and he's 28 years old. Okay?
Right.
Here comes the negative. In 2020, they were 2 games away from the conference finals. In 2021, they were 1 game away. Yet he makes a trade for a caliber player like this yesterday. This trade should have been done 3 years ago.
Well, he wasn't available.
Not him. A player of this caliber had to be acquired 3 years ago to make this trade make sense. Because remember, besides Barzal, all their core players from 3 years ago are older and past their prime. Okay. And also another part of that deal that I hated, for a 4th straight season, he traded a 1st-round pick. And still, this team can't score. They gave up 4 first-round picks in a row, and they can't score.
What's your Jet point?
Here's my point on Ryan Clark. My stance on Ryan Clark is this has absolutely nothing to do with football, okay? Remember, this is the same guy who refused to sit next to Sage Steele because of politics. And his network eviscerated Aaron Rodgers for his take on COVID, okay? This has absolutely nothing to do with football. He just doesn't like the guy, okay? And most of the people on that network do not like him. This has nothing to do about football. He made it a point to rip on the guy. And this has everything to do with politics and everything to do with what's going on with that network. It has nothing to do with football. I'm telling you, absolutely nothing to do with football.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Jake.
Good call, Alan. I don't think it's like everyone at ESPN is anti-Rodgers. Maybe Ryan Clark is, though. I mean, his comments come off as very bitter. At the end he says, go out there and get the best quarterback available. That's Aaron Rodgers, dude. Like, listen to the end here. I'll play the end.
Because you play for every meal. Well, I can pay for my own dang meal, Greeny. So I'm going to tell you, y'all don't want Aaron Rodgers. Y'all don't need Aaron Rodgers. And if you went got Nathaniel Hackett so you could get Aaron Rodgers, that's a stupid hire. This is not the way to go. Go get the best quarterback you can possibly get for your team, and you want him to have the best offensive coordinator. So,
I mean, I mean, what are we doing here? How stupid is that by Ryan Clark? Go out there and get the best available quarterback and hire the best possible offensive coordinator. They did that, dude. You mean to tell me the Jets could find a better scenario than Rodgers with Hackett, who he won 2 MVPs with? I mean, that's just such a lazy take. It's one thing to come out and say, hey, the Jets shouldn't bring in Rodgers. I think he's washed. They should make a move on a different quarterback. Then name the quarterback you think is better. But that I'm sorry, that's a clown take by Ryan Clark. I mean, let's listen to Aaron Rodgers talk about Nathaniel Hackett.
But Hack has been a really important part of our culture change and a part of our success on offense. I love him. Hope he doesn't go anywhere, unless I do.
Yeah, I mean, come on. James brings this up here. I could pay for my own damn meal. Who cares? Yeah, congrats on being rich, Ryan Clark. I could pay for my own meal, too. I could go to Chipotle. It's tremendous. All right, let me make fun of this moron Cowboy fan real quick. We got a better shot at Rodgers and the Jets. No, you don't. You want to know why? Your team's in the NFC, and your head coach is Mike McCarthy. You think Aaron Rodgers wants to play for Mike McCarthy again? This is why, look, it's not all Cowboys fans, but this is why Cowboys fans get, a terrible name. It's a very delusional fan base by a lot. They're such a big fan base, and they have a lot of delusion in there. My team will be in the NFC title game next year. Okay. And I'm going to date Margot Robbie. I'll play along. Super chat from Rabbi Soul Fishman. Shalom, Jacob. Shalom to you, Rabbi. I have an idea for the Patreon that will make all of your subscribers plots. Jake and the Rabbi debate who's the greatest Jewish Jet of all time. I'd wager shekels on the immortal Jay Fiedler. If enough people sign up for the Patreon, we will do that podcast, Rabbi. How does that sound? Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. More of your calls coming up in a moment. Nick says it's because Rodgers torched him in that Super Bowl. Yeah, he did. He most definitely did. I mean, by Ryan Clark's argument, the Jets never should go after Dan Marino in his prime because he never won. Or if Joe Burrow or if Justin Herbert were free agents, they shouldn't go after him either. Christopher writes in, nearly every analyst on ESPN has agreed it's a good fit, including Clark. They just needed a different take. I mean, so you mean to tell me Clark's been wishy-washy on his opinions here? I mean, geez. Back to your calls we go. Let's go to Ricky. He's up next on the show. What's up, Ricky?
Not much, Jake. The thing with Ryan Clark is, I mean, it almost sounded personal from him. And I completely agree with everything that you're saying. And first of all, I don't listen to guys on TV, especially former players. It's like media bias. You know, that's like where we got that same old Jets thing from, you know, with Willie McGinnis on one channel and Teddy Bruschi on another, and you can't even get away from it on Sunday Night Football because you got Rodney Harrison all hating on the Jets.
To be fair, there are a ton of former Jets on TV, though.
Yeah, that's true, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, it's, you know, and I mean, he said it himself. You go out and you get the best quarterback you can. Well, how is that not Rodgers? I mean, come on. That was a ridiculous take. And like you said, there are no other quarterbacks besides Brady that's got more than one ring. There's no Big Ben or Eli. They all retired. You know, it's not easy to win a Super Bowl.
No, I would just like him to name a better. He said, go out there and get the better, get the best option, and then pair that, and then hire an offensive coordinator that fits the quarterback. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, then give me the option. Like, give me the name. He says he tried to nitpick Aaron Rodgers' career by saying he's only won one Super Bowl. Well, other than Brady, there's no quarterback in the NFL that has more than one ring right now. And some of the best quarterbacks in the league, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, they have 0 championships. Winning a Super Bowl is hard. It's not easy.
Right. And that's what made that take so crazy. Like, you know, and believe it or not, something I thought about, like, you know, as I was listening to this, is I thought about, like, back when the Jets signed Thomas Jones, the running back. He just came from a Super Bowl having 100 yards. The Bears went to the Super Bowl. They had a good defense. All these weapons. They couldn't win. They didn't need a quarterback. You can't win without a quarterback. And I don't see how we don't go out and get the best one that's out there.
Amen, Ricky. Good call. I mean, look, it's one thing to say, oh, you know, they shouldn't go after Rodgers because this guy is the better fit. He didn't mention that, though. That's where that take is stupid. He tried to make fun of Greeny for wanting Aaron Rodgers, as if Mike Greenberg's opinion that the Jets should go after a 4-time MVP, who in his down year still would have had one of the best statistical seasons in Jet history, is asinine. Doug, you're next up on the show. What's going on, Doug?
Not much. Part of me just thinks the media doesn't want the Jets to be good because, you know, for the past 10 years they had, the LOL Jet stuff, the same old Jet stuff. And if they're good, it's, now we have to think of something new. We have to think of a new team to make fun of. And we just can't make fun of the Jets anymore. And that just takes away a whole area of the sports media to do. So I think sports media just doesn't want the Jets to be good again because it just ruins a lot for them, which obviously I'd be very happy for. And I can't agree with what Ryan Clark is saying. Any team, the Jets would be stupid not to get Aaron Rodgers. Oh, he's won a Super Bowl. Yeah, how many teams else have a Super Bowl winning quarterback besides Tom Brady? You know, there's only a few Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So it'd be stupid not to try and get one of those. I know he hasn't been back since he won the Super Bowl, but he still won a Super Bowl. The Jets haven't been to one since they won one in 1968, 69. I would like to make the playoffs, and then who the hell knows what can happen. Again, I just think the media wants the Jets to suck forever, so they always have the easy jab of LOL Jets, same old Jets, all that stuff.
Yeah, just the moving of the goalposts is weak. Like, listen to what he says about Hackett at the beginning here for those just tuning in. Like, no mention of anything in Hackett's career besides Denver, which, look, Nathaniel Hackett stunk in Denver. He was awful. He's not the head coach of the Jets, though, and he's talking about Nathaniel Hackett like he's the head coach of the Jets. Listen to the beginning part. This was Ryan Clark and Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett is actually terrible at coaching. He's terrible at managing an offense. He's terrible at decision making. But now let's bring him to the Jets because is it about any quarterbacks that he's connected to? And then Robert Saleh, well, everybody in this league's connected. At least lie better. You know why you went out and got him. You didn't go get him because he just performed this phenomenal deed in Denver. He actually showed you that he can't command a locker room. He can't hold it in all. He can't hold it all together himself. And now we're going to ask that guy to be the offensive coordinator in New York, which is the worst place to be anything and not be good at it.
Yeah, because guess what, Ryan? It's a different job. Let's talk about the fact that he was the offensive coordinator for Aaron Rodgers when he won 2 MVPs. He had a top 10 offense and went to an AFC championship game with Blake Bortles as his quarterback. He called plays in Buffalo. Kyle Orton actually looked competent. I mean, this is just stupid. Stupid. I'm not even like a big Nathaniel Hackett fan. I'm willing to give him a chance, depending on who the quarterback is. But it's just stupid. But the worst part is, once again, this part at the end here.
Want him to have the best offensive coordinator. So if you're doing all of this for a quarterback that in his great career, who is absolutely phenomenal, has won 1 Super Bowl, been to 1 Super Bowl, then you're doing it the wrong way. So I'm going to let you down now before the season gets here, and I got to see you sad every Monday morning.
So what should they do then, Ryan? Who's the quarterback they should go after? The middle part here is pretty good, too.
This team that hasn't been to the Super Bowl and I don't know how dang long, we're doing too much, Greeny. You're hoping too much. So as your friend, see, sometimes you got to have people around you that are not yes men, Greeny. And I know you very successful, super rich types have people around you that are going to say yes to you because you play for every meal. Well, I can pay for my own dang meal, Greeny.
Congrats on being rich, Ryan.
So I'm going to tell you, y'all don't want Aaron Rodgers. Y'all don't need Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, who should they bring in then, Ryan? Who should they bring in? Please give me a name. All I need is a name. Tell me who they should bring in if they don't need a 4-time MVP who has more talent in his pinky than any of the available options. But please tell me what they should do.
And if you went got Nathaniel Hackett so you could get Aaron Rodgers, that's a stupid hire. This is not the way to go. Go get the best quarterback you can possibly get.
Who is the best available quarterback? I'm waiting to hear, Ryan.
Your team, and you want him to have the best offensive coordinator. So
who's the best offensive coordinator? Tell me. I need names. Name somebody. Use your words.
Doing all of this for a quarterback that in his great career, who is absolutely phenomenal, has won 1 Super Bowl, been to 1 Super Bowl.
How many does Joe Burrow have? How many does Josh Allen have? How many does Justin Herbert have? Aaron Rodgers has more Super Bowl wins than 2 of the other options for the Jets that he didn't even bother to mention. Lamar Jackson and Derek Carr have playoff wins combined. Just saying.
Then you're doing it the wrong way.
Man, I want some IHOP as I see Get Up is presented by IHOP. Oh, there you go. All I want is a name, Ryan. Tell me what they should do. If the Jets don't need a 4-time MVP to play quarterback for them this year, what should they do? Stick with Zach Wilson? Mike White? Ryan Tannehill? What should they do? I need answers, Ryan. Please. The Jet fan base is dying to know, what should they do if they don't need Aaron Rodgers? If they can't get Aaron Rodgers, they can't get him. But what should they do if they can get him and they're choosing not to? Let me know. The New York Bully writes in with a super chat. Out of the 32 teams, there's only 5 quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl, and Rodgers is one of them. He's the best current option at quarterback. Of course he is. Of course he is. This just reeks of a guy who has a personal vendetta against Rodgers. Rodgers beat his team in the Super Bowl. Ryan Clark, very outspoken during COVID. Probably doesn't like the fact that Rodgers was, very outspoken being anti-vaccine. I mean, these are just facts. I don't do politics on the show, but these are the things that kind of intertwine with sports. So I don't know what to tell you. Let's take some calls, shall we? Vinny and the Jets, you're next up on the show. What's up, Vinny?
Jake, how's everything? Doug really he hit the nail on the head. He took my point. And the problem with the media and today is we're so used to the Jets being the punchline to a bad joke, is they don't want that to change. And the only way to change that narrative right now is wins. And I don't know where Clark gets off with his nerve of just saying, oh, you don't want Aaron Rodgers. Well, it's like you said, but who do you want? If we bring him in, we're still going to get blasted. I'm just at the point where it says whatever, because they're saying if we bring in Rodgers, they're going to say, well, he's old. If we bring in Derek Carr, oh, he never got past the wild card. If we bring in Jimmy G, oh, well, he gets hurt all the time. Whatever we end up doing, they're going to try to blast us because it's New York and it's the biggest media market in the world. Unfortunately for us as Jet fans is we can't just go ahead and suck quietly. Like, nobody cares about the Browns when they struggle. Nobody cares about the Jaguars when we struggle. But unfortunately, when we suck, it's on the biggest stage of them all, on Thanksgiving with the butt fumble, the ghost game on Monday Night Football. The only way to change this narrative is wins. And how about bringing in the 4-time MVP, Super Bowl winner, been in playoff game after playoff game after playoff game. I've had enough. I want to know something. I was actually on a Twitter space last night with many Jets fans, and Fireman Ed was on there. He wants Aaron Rodgers on the Jets in a heartbeat. He wants Aaron Rodgers on the Jets yesterday.
We all do, because we're tired of watching garbage quarterback play, and there's a guy who's won 4 MVPs that might be available who's still playing at a high level, of course.
And
it makes no sense.
Exactly. And it's not the craziest thing in the world. Older quarterbacks have found success in this league later in their years on a new team. Brady did it at 43. Manning did it in his 40s, both with new teams. Kurt Warner did it and almost pulled it off in his late 30s with the Cardinals. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. Let's go get this guy. I want to win.
Yeah, Vanny, well said. That's the thing. It's like, tell me what they should do at quarterback. Ryan Clark. That's my big thing. It's like, all right, the Jets don't need Rodgers. They shouldn't want him. Then who should they bring in? Who's available? If you want to tell me they're going to have Joe Burrow play quarterback for them next year, I'm in, Ryan. Tell me how that happens. Patrick Mahomes is the Jet quarterback. I'm in. All right. Justin Herbert is the Jet quarterback. I'm in. But you got to give me something. Otherwise, it just reeks of you don't like the guy. You disagree with his stance on COVID. You're upset that his team beat your team in the Super Bowl a decade ago. Come on, man. I think most Jet fans agree with the Rodgers thing. Most of us want him. There's the vocal minority that tries to push back on it, but that's the thing. Anytime you mention a quarterback, there's always people that are like, oh, well, this guy stinks. And then you say, okay, well, what's your alternative? And then their alternative is usually worse. That's the problem. Chris writes in with a super chat, Ryan's hating hard on the Jets. I mean, that's how it comes across. And I like Ryan Clark, but you got to call a spade a spade. If you're going to say the Jets don't need Aaron Rodgers, they shouldn't want Aaron Rodgers, then you have to give a name on who they should go after, because the answer can't be, well, Zach Wilson's here. Come on, man. Let's go to Barney Barn. He's up next on the show. What's up, Barney?
Hey, what's up, Jake? So I'll be honest. I was kind of like, I don't want Rodgers, and I've changed my mind. It totally makes sense. And Ryan Clark's just, he's trying to be Stephen A or whatever. That's all just performative, big network stuff. But here's my one issue. Just hear me out. When you think of Drew Brees, do you think of the Chargers? Or do you think of the Saints? Do you think of the Saints? When you think of, I can go down a list of quarterbacks. My worry is if we get Rodgers, if he gets us to a championship, even if he gets us a Super Bowl, he's always going to be a Packer. It feels a bit like a cheat code. And then he'll retire after a couple of years, even if he goes far with us. And then we're going to rebuild and it's, and I know I'm thinking too long-term. In the short term, yes, it's the right move. I wish there was a better option.
Your concern is that Aaron Rodgers will be associated more as a Packer if he wins with the Jets?
Yeah, well, Brady's always going to be considered a Patriot.
You don't think, but you don't realize Bucs fans claim Tom Brady? Broncos fans claim Peyton Manning. It's a part of their legacy. Especially if it's done in New York. Mark Messier is a god in New York. He won 1 cup with the Rangers. Look how many he won in Edmonton. Winning in New York is unlike anywhere else. Paul O'Neill won in Cincinnati. He's a god in New York because he won with the Yankees. Like, come on, man. Gary Carter is a god in New York. Was a god in New York because he won with the Mets. Like, if you win in New York, it is unlike winning in any other sports town in the country.
I hear you, and trust me. Every time I come up with a reason not to get Rodgers, people say stuff like this, and I'm slowly changing my mind. I just wish we had our own. You know, I feel like he's never going to feel like our own. I hope I'm wrong.
If he wins, he'll feel like your own. I'll tell you that much. He'll be embraced. Look, to be honest, I don't care if he feels like my own or not. If I got to share Aaron Rodgers with the Packers and he helps the Jets win a Super Bowl, who cares? You think the Buck fan cares they got to share Brady with the Pat fan? If anything, you could rub it in the Pat fan face if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. Here's the greatest quarterback of all time. Your head coach didn't want him. He came here at age 42 and he won a Super Bowl in a COVID year one. Like, come on. I don't care if the Jets have to share Rodgers with the Packers. Not like they're rivals. Like, it'd be the greatest thing ever if he won here in New York. Who cares who does it? The guy who does do it is going to be a god forever. It does not matter. If LeBron came to the Knicks in 2010 and they won a title, who cares if the Knicks fan would have to share LeBron with Cleveland? It's about winning, man. That's the ultimate thing. And winning in New York is unlike anything else. I can give you a laundry list of athletes that came from other places that went to New York and it changed their entire reputation. Reggie Jackson is not known for being an Oakland A or a California Angel. He's known for being a New York Yankee. How many years did Reggie Jackson play with the Yankees, Barney Barn? You know? The answer is 5. His number is retired. He's Mr. October because of what he did with the Yankees. Even though, if you look at his World Series numbers with the A's, they're ridiculous. The list goes on and on. I pray we have a problem of how do we remember Aaron Rodgers more as a Packer or a Jet? I welcome that debate. Sign me up for that. Oh, my God. that is what we call a good problem to have, Jet fans. Josh Martin writes in, as a Packer fan, please take Rodgers off our hands. Now, that's an interesting take by me. Josh, explain how the Packer fan is feeling about Rodgers. They're kind of sick of the drama. You guys are ready to move on and give Jordan Love a chance? I'm curious. Back to your phone calls. Let's go to Jay in Israel. He's up next on the show. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, Jake. Jake, I am kind of disappointed with giving Ryan Clark all of this attention for a take that was ridiculous, where he was trying to channel his inner Stephen A., which is ironic because Stephen A., who I'm not particularly a big fan of, is the one who came out with a recent take that said if the Jets were able to get Aaron Rodgers, and I believe that they can, they could win it all. And that's the take I care to focus on. The other point I wanted to make, I'm the same age as Joe Beningo. I was 15 years old when the Jets won Super Bowl III. And a much greater game that Joe Namath gets a lot of credit for and deserves it was the AFL Championship game where they took down a favorite Oakland Raiders in that great pass that he made to number 13, Don Maynard. 2 weeks later, the 2 weeks up to the point I was going to make, and I apologize, the 2 weeks leading up to that Super Bowl, if Jet fans today, young Jet fans, think that the media is bashing the Jets, they haven't seen anything. The bashing, the 17.5 underdog the Jets took going into that Super Bowl was unbelievable. People don't remember why the Joe Namath so-called guarantee of the Jets winning the game was because he was so harassed by the media as being inferior and not fit to play Don Shula and the Baltimore Colts. He just couldn't take it. And he came out and said, listen, guys, not only do we deserve to be there, I guarantee it. So, and I just want to tell everybody, I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care if that robot from the Fox network is behind center for the Jets. If they win, there is no feeling like your team winning the Super Bowl. I happen, like Joe Beningo, be one of the few around that remember it. And you think it's going to be good, it's going to be better. And if the Jets are able to swing a Rodgers deal, they will win it all. And like with in Denver with Manning and your points were well taken. That's what it's all going to be about. So I wouldn't give any of these short shrift takes any dignity that they don't deserve. Sorry, I wasn't eloquent enough on the point, but that's what I wanted to say.
Jay, great call. Really appreciate it. And for someone like Jay that saw a Super Bowl at age 15, I can guarantee you Jay now, I don't want to reveal how old Jay is, but we can do the math. I think I don't think Jay expected to go this long without seeing the Jets at least in the game again. That's why to those of you who don't want Rodgers and your rationale is, well, we could trade away, a first-round pick and a second-round pick, and it could really affect our future. What future? What future? The Jets have missed the playoffs 12 years in a row. They get the longest playoff drought in sports right now. In sports, the Kings are making the playoffs this year in the NBA. It's bad, man. It is bad. Josh Martin, who's the Packer fan that wrote in, wants the Packers to trade Rodgers because he's tired of the drama and the cap relief and choking in the playoffs. I will say this. Obviously, Rodgers hasn't always had the greatest playoff performances, but some of the games that he's had where they've lost because of poor special teams or defense, like I went back and looked at it recently. I mean, how about the game in Seattle in the NFC Championship game where what's-his-name can't recover the onside kick that hits him in the hands? They go to the Super Bowl that year. Or, the way that the Packers defense couldn't stop Colin Kaepernick in some of those playoff games years ago. So there were definitely opportunities for the Packers. I mean, they were 15-1 the year the Giants beat them at Lambeau. It's ironic that the one championship that Rodgers did win with the Packers was the year in which they were the wild card. They had to go on a late season run to win the division and then went on a run all the way to the Super Bowl. They should have played the Jets in the Super Bowl that year they won. Jets should have beat that Packers team, by the way. If they got there. We'll never know. Let's see. Rico the Pup writes in, Rodgers is a Hall of Famer, but winning for the Jets would put him in the conversation for top 5, in my opinion. Yeah. I don't think people realize one Super Bowl with the Jets is the equivalent of like 3 anywhere else. That's the value of what it would mean to win with the Jets. Can you imagine? Also doing it wearing number 12, Namath's number, how cool that would be. Would Namath give him the blessing for Rodgers to wear the number? I don't even know if Rodgers would want to wear number 12. Maybe he wants number 8. Poor Elijah Moore will have to change his number. Jonathan writes in, the Packers won 9-0 in New York the year Green Bay won the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was the game on Halloween. It was an awful game. Sanchez played horrendous that day. Difference is, playoff Mark Sanchez was coming in that Super Bowl. And the Jets fresh. Imagine if the Jets did play the Packers that year in the Super Bowl. That run would have been historic. A win on the road against Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, and then Rodgers in the Super Bowl. It'd be the great. Mark Sanchez would have been a part of the greatest Super Bowl run in NFL history. 4 Hall of Famers defeated. So Mark Sanchez and the effing Jets could have won a championship. In an alternate universe, that happened. Let's go to V-Man. V-Man's got a special guest joining him today, so everyone buckle up. What's up, V-Man?
Then Linus wanted to get his camera time.
What's your dog's name?
Linus.
Linus? Hello, Linus.
Yeah, because I have a girl dog named Lucy. Peanuts Joe.
So Linus and Lucy. Got it.
Yeah, no, so I like what you said earlier, but it's not just the fact that he's winning with New York, but it's the fact of winning with a perennial, long-time losing franchise. Because think about that's one of the thing about because why do you think Tom Brady went to Tampa? It's not just the talent. The talent's a big role, but they were historic. Like winning in Green Bay is great, but they have a long history of winning. Winning with the Niners is great, but they have a long history of winning. Same thing with the Ravens, Colts, Cowboys, heck, even the Dolphins. For as bad they've been the last 20 years, the 30 years prior, they only had 2 losing seasons. So winning with those teams is great, but when it's those long-time losers that are, pathetic outside of 3 or 4 years, like that really changes. That really makes an impact on your career. The legacy that it does for you, and it really makes you a legend. And that's what the Jets have right now that no other team has. The Raiders don't have that. The Dolphins don't have that. There's no other team in the AFC right now in need of a quarterback that is a legitimate target, that's a legitimate opportunity for him to win, has that opportunity to make that kind of impact for him.
Yeah, B-Man, I'm with you. I mean, I think you echo a similar point I made earlier. Like, winning in New York is different. Winning with the Jets is different. Charles Barkley's watching the show. I have reason to believe this is not the Barkley that we watch on TNT. I don't care if Joe approved. They have 12 hanging in the rafters for a reason. It'd be so lame if Rodgers chose to wear 12. I mean, if Namath is cool with it and Rodgers wanted it, like, I wouldn't blame Rodgers for wanting to wear 12. It's his number. Now, I don't know the significance of why Rodgers chose 12 in the first place. He wore 8 in college. I don't know. I think, honestly, I don't know if Rodgers would do this, but if he wants to be endearing to Jet fans, who are the few that are skeptical and wouldn't be jacked up if Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback next year, if Rodgers just did come out and say, hey, there's only one number 12 in the history of the Jets, that's Joe Willie, I'm going to wear a different number, I think he'd get a ton of praise from the fan base right away if he wanted to pander a little bit. Wouldn't mean necessarily be pandering. That'd just be a cool move. But if he wanted to wear 12, I'm cool with it, man. The only thing Rodgers can't do when he becomes the Jet quarterback is send unsolicited pictures of himself to a Jet staffer. If he avoids that, we're off to a better start than what happened with Favre. And he's got to avoid the bicep tendon injury in Week 11 when the Jets are 8-3 and look like the best team in the AFC that year. Jonathan writes in, Mark Sanchez is one of 2 quarterbacks to defeat Tom Brady and Peyton Manning in the same postseason. The other is Joe Flacco. Jet legend Joe Flacco. Let's go to Honest Abe. He's always honest, and he joins us now. What's up, Abe?
Jake, my man, what's going on, brother?
How we doing?
Hey, oh, just wonderful. You know, I know you're out in Houston. It's probably freezing out there. I'm out here in Detroit. There's actually no temperature. It's 0. We have no temperature out here.
Yeah, for Houston, it's pretty cold today. It's like 39 degrees right now, which is about as cold as it gets, which is nothing compared to where you're at.
Yeah, bite me. So, all these people talking about Rodgers and he chokes in the playoffs. First of all, get me to a playoff. Choke all you want. Like, we're in the playoffs. I'm good with it. But how many quarterbacks right now are multiple-time Super Bowl winning quarterbacks?
There's one. There's only one. It's Brady. That's it. That's why when Ryan Clark is like, he's only won 1 Super Bowl. All right, then who should they bring in that's won more then? Come on, ridiculous. Man.
It's ridiculous. I'm out here in Detroit, and obviously a lot of the people around me hate Aaron Rodgers with a passion, the same way us as Jets fans have hated Tom Brady with a passion for years. I understand it. And they all say how he's a bum because he can't win in the playoffs. He's a choke artist, all of that. And I tell them and I tell everybody, every other NFL fan base, like, get one. Get one and you're good. You're good for life. He will always go down as a Super Bowl winning quarterback, just like Doug Peterson will always go down as a Super Bowl winning coach and got no respect for it. So it's ridiculous. All these talking heads and everybody out there saying he's a choke artist. All the Packers fans, I'm done with him. I'm done with the choking. Like, you don't realize how good you have it until you lose it. And there's one other thing I want to talk about. I'm not trying to big shot or anything. I do have a buddy of mine that happens to be on the offensive side of the ball inside the Jets locker room, and they absolutely love Mike White. I have a big fear that if it's Mike White comes back as the backup quarterback, along with anybody outside of Rodgers, that on the first bad play, the locker room starts to turn towards Mike White and away from the football side of things.
Yeah, good call. I would say it depends who the quarterback is. Like, if it's Jimmy G and Mike White's better, then I don't know Jimmy G anything. If it's Derek Carr, I think you give Derek Carr more of a leash than like one bad game before you're just like, I got to go to Mike White. If it's Rodgers, it's Rodgers. That's it. I saw a comment here from Jay. Joe Flacco is one of the active quarterbacks with only 1 Super Bowl win. Yeah. So was Nick Foles. It's not easy to win a Super Bowl. Drew Brees only won 1. Rodgers has 1. Peyton Manning is the greatest regular season quarterback I've ever watched. He won twice, and let's be real. The second one he won was more so he was on a historically great Broncos defense than him. Prime Von Miller and those guys, man. But think about the amount of times Peyton Manning would get a team to the Super Bowl that was not as good, but he was carrying them there. Like, Peyton Manning went to 4 Super Bowls. He was 2-2 in the Super Bowl. Sean writes in, Jimmy Garoppolo has 2. Yeah, he played great in those Super Bowls, as we all remember. Beth Page Chris writes in with a super chat. Can't we get Rodgers and draft a future quarterback J.D. Ken? Yeah, they could take someone in the mid-rounds. That's certainly a possibility. But bringing in Rodgers, I don't care what they do at quarterback in 2025. I'm going to be focused on the now. I want to win. This team can win it all with Rodgers. Some of you don't want to ever believe that to be the case. You'll never be happy. But they have a chance to. Isn't that what we want as a sports fan? You want your team to have a chance every year. And let's be real. For far too long, we've known the Jets have never had a chance. They have a chance now. Aaron writes in that the reason why Aaron Rodgers wore number 12 is that he wanted originally number 8, but Ryan Longwell had the number. Well, you can probably get 8 with the Jets because I'm sure Elijah Moore would give it up to have Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. Mike writes in, my wife is a Bears fan and hates Rodgers. I don't have hate for any team that would prevent me from accepting a team-changing player. Yeah, I mean, Jet fans hate Tom Brady. I guarantee you if he was the quarterback helping them win, they'd change their tune real quick. That's how it goes. We all root for laundry at the end of the day. Let's be real. Let's go to Brendy. Brendy's next up on the show. Brendy, what's going on?
What's going on, Jake? How your day going?
How you doing, Brendy? What's up, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I Ryan Clark pisses me off, man, and I think he got paid to say that because Aaron Rodgers torched him in the Super Bowl. The thing is, with Nathaniel Hackett signing, man, it pisses me off because Nathaniel Hackett, I can't fully put the full blame on him. One, he wasn't ready to be a head coach, so calling plays is just one job. He doesn't have to control the defense. He don't have to control the offensive line.
He doesn't need to be a leader of men either.
Yeah.
Using that as a criticism on Hackett is unfair. He's not the head coach of the Jets.
Absolutely. And this is what's pissing me off about that is the fact that you're saying don't Aaron Rodgers. Where? Who is available that's better than him? No one. So you go after the best person at all. The thing is with me is just like, what other team out there is really a quarterback away? Last time the Jets were a quarterback away, it was 2010. That was the last time. Now we got that opportunity right now. There's no other team right now that we can actually can get Rodgers and be like, you know what, that's a guaranteed Super Bowl, or at least get them far. Like we get Aaron Rodgers, we at least making the AFC Championship game. Period.
I hope. You have a chance. I feel way better about their chances of doing it than I would with any of the. Unless you tell me Lamar's the Jet quarterback, I don't see Derek Carr taking them to a championship game. And I like Derek Carr, but you got to be realistic about what he is. Like, we'll try and convince ourselves he's great, but Rodgers is in a different stratosphere than any of the other available options.
This season that he put up, man, would literally almost literally incinerate every single quarterback we've seen in the last 10 years.
He was 7th in touchdown passes this year with a broken thumb.
And it
was a down season for him. It's like crazy to me.
My goodness. So I think, like I said, man, I think he got paid to say that. He needed to do some type of soundbite to get more credit, and get by God, it worked. But as much as I love Stephen A., but I was shocked hearing him say go after Aaron Rodgers, and whatever he can do to try to swindle the deal, everybody needs to do something. Tweet, go to his Instagram, go to Aaron Rodgers' Instagram, whatever you got to do, tell him go here.
Brendy, great call. We need some rich Jet fans. I know plenty of you that watch this show are rich, like Ryan Clark was saying Mike Greenberg is rich. By the way, once again, congrats to Ryan Clark on paying for his own meal. That's big stuff right there. We need billboards. We got to find where Aaron Rodgers lives. Rex Ryan said this on TV the other day. It's funny. We need to hang billboards. Rodgers, come to the Jets. We gotta make Rodgers feel welcome. He's gonna speak on Pat McAfee today. I wonder if he'll tip his hand on anything. On Point writes in with a super chat. So On Point cuts the line. Is there a chance the Jets are being played in order to drive the asking price for Rodgers up? I would say no, because this is not Kirk Cousins using the Jets for more leverage in free agency. You know what I mean? Like, Rodgers doesn't have a no trade. Rodgers being traded, the Jets could probably put together the best package out of any team because the Packers seemingly don't want to trade him to the NFC. Where's Rodgers going? The Raiders, they're going to trade their first round pick, which is pick 7, and their cash poor as well. At least that's the reports why they couldn't fire McDaniels. They don't have the money to fire him and then pay another coach. So they're going to be able to guarantee Rodgers is $58 million in cash you owe him this year. I mean, I hear Tennessee getting brought up, but they're kind of a mess right now. I think the Jets are the best fit. I think Rodgers would love to hear it too. Hammer says, hit the like button. Hammer's right. If you're one of the 500 people watching right now, smash that like button. If you're one of the thousands of people watching after the fact, hit the like button. Helps the channel grow. Motivated T writes in, Cowherd don't want the Jets to get Rodgers either. He said the Titans are better. Here's my issue with Cowherd. Funhouse, you guys, if you guys are on Twitter, back after this, and this is bad takes. How he closes like Cowherd's bad takes. The other day, he tweeted out a video of Colin Cowherd saying Rodgers should go to the Jets. It's a great fit. And then 3 days later, he did the exact same segment and said he shouldn't go to the Jets. It's a terrible fit. And Funhouse sliced the two clips together. So you could do a side-by-side comp. Within 3 days, Colin Cowherd had the exact opposite take. He's shameless, man. He literally has his writers that script his entire show. Like, how did they forget that they had him say Rodgers is a great fit for the Jets? I have it right here on January 24th. And then on January 27th, he says Rodgers is a terrible fit for the Jets. So, like, the guys that just have the opinions all over the place are the worst. That's why I try to be consistent on this show. I don't give you hot takes. I give you my authentic, honest opinion. Even Stephen A., he said the comment, last week, whenever it was, Rodgers could make the Jets a Super Bowl contender. So then they hire Hackett, and he thinks it's a terrible move. Well, part of the reason why they hire Hackett is so that if they do get Aaron Rodgers, they put Aaron Rodgers in the best possible position to succeed. So I don't know what to tell you. John writes in, where do I bought my own lunch trophy? For those who missed it, I'll play the clip again so we can have the context here. This is maybe the best line from Ryan Clark. He wants to be commended for buying his own lunch. Here we go.
You that are going to say yes to you because you play for people around you that are going to say
Hold on.
super rich types have people around you that are going to say yes to you because you play for every meal. Well, I can pay for my own dang meal, Greeny. So I'm going to tell you, y'all don't want Aaron Rodgers.
He could pay for his own meal. And one thing we learned from Ryan Clark is that his take on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets is bad, but he could buy his own lunch. So he has that going for him. Now, here would be my question to everyone watching right now. Who here could buy their own lunch? Whether it's, lunch at Roots Chris or it's a lunch at McDonald's. If you could buy your own lunch, please comment saying, I too, Ryan Clark, can buy my own lunch. I mean, I think that's worth bringing up. How many people can also buy their own lunch? Christopher says he's trying to say he's rich too, so his opinion matters. It's a terrible analogy. We know what he's trying to say, Christopher. This is me making fun of how stupid that opinion is. I could buy my own I could buy my own lunch. So, Mike Greenberg, I could tell you honestly that the Jets shouldn't go after Aaron Rodgers. The reason? Because they should be going after the best available quarterback. Who is the best available quarterback? Oh, it's Aaron Rodgers? Not according to Ryan Clark. He doesn't say who the best available quarterback is. What should I eat for lunch today? I'm having some car problems, so I don't even have a car. Car is being serviced right now, so we're going to do a little Uber Eats action. Maybe I'll ask Ryan Clark what I should have for lunch. PJ says I can't buy my own lunch at MetLife. Yeah, damn right, man. Those hot dogs ain't cheap. That's why they need Aaron Rodgers. Woody, if you're going to charge me $15 for a beer and $12 for a hot dog, you got to get me a quarterback that doesn't suck. Hammer writes in, Rodgers will be a Jet in 2023 with a cleaned up O-line, our young guns on offense, and Jets top D equals playoffs. From your lips to God's ears, Hammer. Congrats to Mr. 40 Acres. He buys his own lunch every day. Him and Ryan Clark have that in common. Aaron wants Ryan Clark to know that he's eating some DoorDash right now. That's spectacular. Matthew writes in, it's now easy to picture Brady and San Fran with the way their season ended. Yeah, I think with the fact that the uncertainty with Purdy being out for 6 months, I think what they do is they bring in Brady. You have Trey Lance back up. You have Purdy back up, so you have some Brady insurance. You're paying Purdy, nothing. He could sit for a year if he had to. Brady to San Fran makes so much sense now. Ness writes in, I'm not rich. I bring my own lunch. I love that. Bonesy says, did anyone see the Benigno interview yesterday? He was smiling about Rodgers like a kid at the candy store. He wants him. Every Jet fan wants Aaron Rodgers. That's rational. John writes in, I'd buy my lunch and Jets forever and BYU fan. I'll tell you what, if Aaron Rodgers is a Jet, I will buy Ryan Clark lunch as my thank you. Jason has to buy his own breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks every day. You got to love that. Minnesota Jet fan says, everyone in Minnesota is dying for Rodgers to go to the Jets. They want him out of the NFC. Yeah, of course they do. Because he's tormented the division forever. Vodka and the Jet says, burgers versus pizza, who wins? I love both, but if I can only have one, I'm going pizza, assuming the pizza is from a great New York pizza place. If not, then I'm going burger. Patty says Ryan Clark buys his lunch. All right. Maybe a future episode will have someone that Ryan Clark buys lunch for on, or someone that Greeny buys lunch for on. That could be a future episode this offseason. Jay writes in that Rodgers can bring the Bears to New York as well, since he announced that he owns them. Couple more here, then we'll get out of here. Bino writes in, you know who wants Aaron Rodgers? Rex Ryan wants Aaron Rodgers, and Ryan Clark pulls that blasphemy on Rex. The man is liable to fly across the broadcast table at him. I mean, I don't understand the opinion. That's what I mean. I don't get it. Go out there and get the best available quarterback, not Aaron Rodgers. Then who is the best available quarterback? Aaron Rodgers, he's had this great career, but he's only won one Super Bowl. Who besides Tom Brady has more than one Super Bowl in the NFL right now? Charles Barkley writes in that he didn't respect Ryan Clark until he knew he buys lunch. Ryan Clark does buy lunch. I mean, if anything, if we learned anything, we learned that Ryan Clark, congrats on being rich, man, and he could buy his own lunch. Jonathan writes in, I buy my own lunch too, but if Ryan Clark wants to buy me lunch, I'll take it. Look, if Ryan Clark bought me lunch, I would gladly accept it as well. Pad Chennington is watching the show. Hello, Pad. Any relation to Chad? Was at MetLife when we beat the Bills this year. Unreal environment. That was the best environment MetLife has had in years for a Jet game. The Let's Go Jets chance at the end of that game. The Jets are not that far away. They're not that much worse than the Bills if they solidify quarterback. They got a better defense than Buffalo. Skill position-wise, they match up with Buffalo. It's quarterback. That's the problem. The Bills have Josh Allen. The Jets don't. That's the difference. You can't tell me Sean McDermott is that much better of a head coach than Saleh. He's a defensive-minded guy. They don't got Brian Dable anymore there. Josh Allen led the NFL in turnovers this year. The Bills are still the best team in the division, but you can't sit there and tell me the Jets, who did beat Buffalo in the regular season this year, would not have a chance to win the AFC East if you put Rodgers on this team. That's the point. Ragnar says, way to rep the Jets airplane versus the football today. This should be on the helmets, this airplane logo. They're called the Jets. It's amazing that they don't utilize the fact that their team name is awesome. The Jets. ISU says the Bills environment would have been better if Ryan Clark would have bought everyone some buffalo wings. Maybe. R&R writes in, not just lunch, but if we get Rodgers, Garrett Wilson will be eating a lot. Yeah, you're not wrong. You know, someone's like, oh, well, what would Garrett Wilson do if he had Aaron Rodgers? Go look at Devontae Adams' numbers. That's what Garrett Wilson will do. Do Jet fans realize how stupid it is that Garrett Wilson had 1,100 receiving yards with 4 quarterbacks throwing him the ball? I mean, that's why if you could get a Hall of Fame quarterback, you'd do it. Jason says Rodgers should buy Clark lunch whenever he signs with the Jets. I hope so, man. Shout out to Ryan Clark. He gave us some good conversation today on the show. We're going to end it right there. Thank you all for watching. Hey, do me a favor. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. That will help this channel grow. Before we get out of here, reminder that I'm on Patreon. So if you want to get this show, I don't know why I just put Joe Douglas up there. I clicked the wrong button. But you know what? Joe, we're going to manifest you trading for Rodgers this week or as soon as you can. Anyway, here's my Patreon information. If you want to get this show ad-free, unfortunately, unlike Ryan Clark, I can't buy your lunch on Patreon, but if enough of you sign up, I can afford to. So maybe there you go. Maybe that will get you to sign up for my Patreon. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. You'll get this show ad-free as a podcast, so you can take it on the go. No more YouTube app. No more having to sit at your laptop. You'll get a bonus podcast every single month. Some months you'll get more than one. You can message me directly on there, and when the merch store launches, discounts on all the items. Appreciate all of you for taking the time to watch. Thanks for supporting the show. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day. And should any breaking news happen with the Jets, we will be back live to talk about all of it. Have a good Tuesday, everybody. Let's go Knicks tonight.